Hey guys, how are we doing? Primal Instincts back with another podcast episode from me to you. First, I got to apologize. I am a little under the weather. Just the spring allergies. Got a little watery eye, little sniffles going on. So apologize if a lot of that gets in this video. But I recently made a community post on my channel where I mentioned that it's been a little difficult for me to have other featured friends in the videos with me. Aside from my boy K2, big shout out to K2. He still makes time to come around and film video commissions and be on the channel. I have other friends I've been hanging out with, but you just don't see them on camera. You know, we're playing basketball, we're going hiking, we're working out together, but they're just not in the videos. And I still get questions from people who ask me, like, what happened to T-Wrex, or what happened to this one friend who used to be on the channel? And the short answer to that, because obviously it's different for each person, is people's lives changed. Like, I can tell you right now, like, nobody isn't around anymore because they didn't like the videos, or they didn't like being watched by an audience, or they didn't like me or anybody else who was filming with me. That's not the reason why. It's just, I mean, some people don't even live in the same state as me anymore. Like, just off the top of my head, Stags. He originally started filming with us because he was on spring break from college. And he was going to college for a pretty difficult degree. Really prestigious one. So, you know, sad he dropped out, but in his defense, he just realized he was in over his head. After classes resumed, you know, he had school, a girlfriend, and this difficult college class. He was overwhelmed and he just had to drop out. After he graduated college, he moved out of state. Leo Lynx, another one. We were having a lot of fun, getting to be pretty close friends. I mean, he was like wanting to get a place with me, talking about going to vacation together in Canada. He wanted us to buy a hot tub that we could like film videos in together. And then suddenly he ghosted me and his other friends. He walked out on his job, and there were rumors flying around that he was hanging out with a bad crowd and doing some pretty bad substances. And through a relative of his, I learned that it got so bad that his family actually paid to send him to a rehab out of state to help him. And he decided to stay out there in that state because he's afraid to come back here and fall into the same dark place he was in before. And obviously more power to him for making that smart move, and I wish him the best out there. But that's just an example of what I'm saying. It's like one day somebody's life can just change before you know it. It's like one day someone's your friend, the next day you don't hear from them or they're gone. Or it could be something else, like with Lord Rubix, for example. When we were hanging out with him, he was always like, saying like, oh man, I really wish I had a girlfriend. I want a family someday. Just kind of like a little mopey about it. And it's like, it's fine, man. Like, just because I don't do relationships, I completely understand other people want them and it makes them happy, and I support that. And he found a girlfriend on a dating app, and he wanted to spend all of his time with her. Like, towards the end, it was really hard to get a hold of him and get him to come over. And he was telling T-Rex and me it was like annoying him that we were continuing to try to reach out to him to have him come over and be on the show. And after he decided to drop out, I talked to him afterwards, and he said, yeah, man, like the truth of the scenario is, I'm working, I'm trying to find a house with this girl, I'm spending my time with her, like you guys were just stressing me out, like it was really not good for my mental health, trying to, juggle and keep all these things going. So, I was going to drop out anyways, because, he ended up doing that after T-Rex stopped coming around, but he made it clear to me that he was about to tell us that he couldn't do it anymore anyways, because he's very serious with this relationship, and I have to respect that. I mean, it was kind of like hurtful to hear, like, hey, you guys are stressing me out when we were just trying to make plans with our friend and have him continue being part of the show that we all filmed on together for years. But I get it. he wants to spend time with his girl and start a family, like, I let him do it. T-Wrex, that one was a little bit different. And even though it's been over a year now since it happened, it's still pretty hurtful and shocking. And I haven't really said anything about it in a video, but I think I am ready to like say something about it. I mean, I know I made a blog post where I talked about what happened, but the short version is his wife she didn't like how close of friends we were. It made her jealous and insecure that we were really close friends, even though I promised we weren't fooling around behind her back. We never made out or went down on each other. All the videos that we filmed and got paid to film, none of them were sexual in nature. None of them were filled from that kind of standpoint. But, I try to have that unique trait of looking at things from another person's perspective. And it's like, and I've read comments from fans too who say, oh, if I was with a guy who was getting paid to do videos by strangers with another guy, that would make me uncomfortable. But it's like, those are our fans. Like, we have a show. Like, those are our fans. We let people commission us for videos, and we just have our own weird and gross sense of humor. And there were fans that would leave comments saying, like, are you guys a couple because you're so close? And she wasn't a fan of that either. And, I lived with T-Wrex for a couple years, but she didn't like how close of friends we became, and I just started ending up enduring years of like passive aggressive mean behavior because of it, until it reached a point where I had to move out of the house. But T-Wrex and I, we remained best friends. We continued hanging out. He'd still come over once a week. We'd hang out and we'd film. And then came the day I got my LASIK eye surgery. I didn't want to wear contacts or glasses anymore. So I had the surgery center schedule a day 2 weeks out. I requested off from work. T-Wrex requested the day off from work. And I asked him if he'd take me, and he said, yeah. We always had each other's backs. We always did things for each other. We were best friends for 6 years. And like 2 days before the actual surgery, he texted me and was like, hey man, is there any way you can find somebody else to take you? I forgot I had plans with my wife. And I was just like, I didn't ask anybody as backup because you already told me you'd take me and it's last minute. So like, I'm gonna have to take an Uber now. And he was like, no, don't worry about it. I got you. And I was like, oh God, thank you. Like, that would have been so awkward. Falling asleep with bandages on my eyes as some Uber guy's like driving me home. I would have did it if I had to. But that's the thing about T-Wrex. He was very loyal to people close to him. He was very loyal. So he ended up taking me, and he told me on the way up there, that day just coincidentally happened to be his wife's birthday. And he forgot it. I didn't know it was her birthday. The LASIK surgery place that scheduled it did not know it was her birthday. But he still took me up there because he told me he would. And he hung out with me at my house like an hour afterwards because he waited up there for the surgery just to make sure I was okay and to tell some jokes and make me feel better because he can see I was in pain from the surgery. Like a true friend. And he said, okay, well, I should probably get to my wife. She's waiting for me for her birthday. And like, I just knew, just how she felt about me. And she didn't like that we were close friends. And she was, I'm sure, happy I didn't live there anymore. That something was going to go wrong. And I don't know how exactly the conversation went, but the very next time he came over to hang out with me, that was the last time he hung out with me. And it's really weird because he didn't act like anything was wrong. Like, he made it seem like it was like a normal night hanging out, like we came over, I gave him his month's share of the money from the video commissions and the channel's earnings. We filmed a final video commission together, though he was like hesitant about it, which should have been like a red flag to me because he never was. And he stayed later, drank all the beer in my refrigerator back when I was still drinking, like he always did when he came over. And he stayed longer than he normally did when he'd come over. And he gave me a hug on the way out. But I would find out because the next time I tried to talk to him, he told me. As soon as he left my house that night, he blocked my number. He knew that was going to be the last time he came over, but he didn't tell me that. He didn't show that. And then I couldn't get a hold of him after that. Next week came, I texted him, he didn't answer. I tried to call his phone, he kept going right to voicemail. So I was like, okay, hopefully he's okay. I'm a little concerned. So I went to his house, and him and his wife were both home. And, he took him a while to answer. He saw it was me. It took him a while to get to the door. And then he answers the door, and he's like kind of holding it so I can barely see him. I can hear like his wife moving around, listening behind him. And, I greeted him like we always do, like, hey, how are you? And he's like, fine. What do you want? I'm just like, I'm just seeing if you're okay, man. Like, I try to get a hold of you. Your phone's going right to voicemail. And he says, that's because I blocked your number. I was like, what? He's like, I blocked your number as soon as I left your house that last night because I knew I wasn't coming back. And I was like, why? He's like, you wouldn't understand. Just go home. And I was like, what do you mean, man? Like, we're best friends. And he's like, no, you said we're best friends, but we're not friends anymore. Just go home. And you guys have probably seen in the videos, I've always known T-Rex. He's a very stoic person. In his own words, he thinks emotions are dumb. He doesn't really like to show them. There was a lot of hurt on his face that day. And for the first time ever in all the 6 years I've known him, his voice broke while he was talking to me. So I can tell it was really hurting him to have to say and do what he was doing. And I was so shocked to see that rare emotion from him. And I knew something was very wrong. Because I even asked him, like, step out. You want to step outside and talk? And he kind of like glanced behind him and was like, we can talk right here. So I knew something was very, very wrong. So I left that day in shock. And it didn't occur to me until down the road when I realized what happened, that him taking me to get that important surgery on her birthday was like the last straw. We were not allowed to be friends anymore. Apparently that hurt his wife very bad. And like, I swear I did not plan that. I did not know it was her birthday. He did not tell me that until we were on our way up there. There's no way the surgery knew that was her birthday. Had no plans of ruining their birthday time together as a married couple. I was simply a friend asking his best friend to give me a ride somewhere because we'd always been there for each other. We'd always had each other's backs. But ended up being a really big issue, and suddenly my best friend of 6 years is just a stranger to me. That it's like he's still alive, of course, but it's almost like he died because I can't see or talk to him anymore. And like I don't want to get all emotional about it. I don't want to get like too deep into it either because like I've already, like I said, I made a post telling everybody what happened, but it's still like shocking to this day to just know like you can be best friends with somebody and the next day they're just gone. Just like that. Like I can't even like reach out to him and say like I can get it. It's like, okay, I'm married now because we both knew that day was coming one day. It's like, all right, he's going to have kids running around his house. He can't come over and like film video commissions because he needs to be there for his family. We both knew that day was going to come. But I thought we would still be in touch with each other. Like, hey, how are you doing? How's the family? You want to play some video games or have a fire or something for old time's sake, but we can't even do that. And it just really sucks because I could tell from the hurt in his voice and his face that day that he didn't want to have to do that, but that's what he felt he had to do to keep his relationship. And obviously that's not a very healthy relationship, but I don't want to comment about that here, but that's what happened is what I'm getting at is I lost my best friend because we were too close of friends apparently, and he was in a relationship and she didn't like it, and he's, like I said, he's very loyal. He's known her longer than me. So him being loyal, he felt that that is what he had to do to keep her happy. And I have not seen or heard from him since then. It's been over a year. So the videos continue to stay up because like those are memories of the amazing times we all had together. Like I said, some people don't even live in the same state anymore. Like those videos are memories of the good times we had together when people's lives were just, I guess, parallel, you can say, just in a spot where we can continue to do that. And I will continue to try to find other friends to be on the show. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be exactly the same kind of friendship that I had with T-Wrex in the beginning, but I will continue to keep the dream alive because all of my fans mean a lot to me. And I mean, it's like a legacy that we created together, you know, with my show. Like T-Wrex and Lord Rubix and other people, they helped me get my show off the ground, and they helped me find the audience that loves me and the show and continues watching the videos. So I owe it to those fans. I could never just turn my back and pull the plug and say, okay, that's it. Even if I have to film solo videos for you guys, I will do it because I've been doing that off and on for years anyways, even when they were around. You know, I still do solo commissions. K2's still coming around. I'm sure I'll find some other friends who want to take part in the videos too. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty heavy what happened with T-Wrex, and it was disappointing when other people's lives change. But the way I got to look at it is what it is. And I have a philosophy too. I call it the bright side of suffering. Had I not left T-Rex's house because of the situation with his, wife just being passive aggressively rude to me, I wouldn't have found this house. I was in this like noisy apartment for 6 months, and then I found this house listing. It was like barely listed for a month, and I pounced on it. Had that not happened, somebody else would have no doubt got this house, and I wouldn't be here. So as hurtful as that was, it's like that other saying too, like when a door closes, a window opens. T-Rex is off living his life. He probably has a family now, and that's what he's always wanted. He always told me from the beginning, like, oh, if it came down to it, I would choose my wife over anybody else. I would be happy just with her. Well, that's where he's at now, and if he's happy, that's what's important to him. If Lord Rubix, he's trying to start a family. He wants to spend all of his time with his girl because he's head over heels in love with her. If that's what he wants to do, then he's going to do that because that makes him happy. I mean, it's sad to say, like they don't need me anymore. Say I feel a little used, they don't even bother saying goodbye to all you thousands of fans. But again, like I said, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing anybody else can do about it. I've had fans reach out to me, and even other people I know too. Like one person saying, I've had a friend I knew since kindergarten. As soon as he got married, his wife made him cut all of his friends off because she needed him to be home. Like it happens, it happens. So I'm still around. I'm sorry some of the other friends that you've grown to love aren't around anymore, but the videos of them will still be around, and there's always more coming in the future. So thank you for sticking around with me. Thank you for being understanding. Like, wow, that video I posted when T-Rex had to leave, the comments there, they seriously made that so much easier for me to get through the hurt. There was such an outpouring of support. People who hardly ever comment on videos, they decided to comment that day just to show support to me. And it means so much. So thank you. I love you all for that. I've got more in store for you. Thank you for listening all the way through if you did. I hope that answered your questions. Oh, I got to blow my nose. Hopefully I'll be feeling better soon. But I will see you guys all in the next video. So stay tuned because Primal here's got a lot in store for you. Rock on, take care. I love you, and I will see you in the next one.